Alright, welcome back. So today we've got the DBXL K&N edition back on the bench. I'm gonna have to bust this cover back off, finish running it. Still having a runaway issue with this thing after installing one of these large-scale safety kill switches. Had a few questions about did you set it up in the remote control? Like I said, you know, I've been dealing with this issue since I've put this 32cc motor into this thing. Before that, this thing had sat on the shelf for a year prior to me running it, and at that time it had no issue. So basically all it did was sit for a year. We stopped running it because the 29cc motor in it, or the 23cc motor in it, just didn't have enough power. But I let my daughter use it, and we used to race the 5T against this. And after that, went ahead and blew it off, cleaned it up, put it back on the shelf, and it sat there for about a year until we did the upgrade. After the upgrade, went ahead and took it out, and that's when I noticed the first little spike runaway deal. At that point, checked all the wiring, found a lot of corrosion in some of the battery connections from the nickel monohydrate battery to the on and off switch. Went ahead and changed out those connectors. At that time, bought a couple of batteries, went to a LiPo battery so that I could get rid of the battery end that was corroded. And thought that would solve it. I do have failsafe set up in the factory controller, which, if you guys didn't know, when you bought this model, it came with a radio and this radio, DX2E, and there's a procedure for setting up a failsafe on this, which is if it loses range, it just applies the brakes and drops to an idle. So that was set up. Just so if it ever got out of range or antenna wire got cut, something like that, it would just shut down to an idle and apply the brakes, since I didn't have control of it, which that's something you can set up on anything. So after I did that, it took it out again, had another runaway after changing the battery. This one was a little longer. So at that point, I stopped, went ahead, ordered up 2 of these kits. That's why I have another one here in the package, one for my 5T. So ordered up the kit, installed the kill switch so that at least I had control of it to where I could press a button, kill the motor, or if the voltage was getting too low, it automatically kills the motor. I set all that up, showed you guys how to set it up on aux 1, since it's only a 3-channel controller. So did that, figured I'd test it again, so went out and tested it again, and had another runaway. At that time, I had found a couple more corrosion problems in the wire leading to the on and off switch. Plus, after I installed the failsafe with the LED has to be lit. I found that the LED, if you wiggled the switch, would cut the motor. So I kept testing it, eliminated the on and off switch, so that I figured that was the problem. Since I could wiggle it, it was killing the kill switch. So at that point, said, you know what, let's just eliminate it, run the battery right to the other port, like the instruction said, to the bind port, just to give the battery, the 2S power, directly to the receiver, which eliminates the switch. So I went ahead and did that. Took it out for the test, and it still ran away. So that only leaves two things. And I'm losing steering and throttle. The steering servo in this is a Servox servo, which means I've already changed that one. The throttle servo in this thing is original. So I was thinking maybe the servo is creating too much draw, giving it some sort of voltage drop and then sticking. But since I lose steering, I can't see that, because if it creates too much of a load, it would cut the voltage out of the receiver. And if that happens, the red light goes off and the motor kills, which I've tested that. So at that point, I'm leaning towards a receiver. So what I did was I did pick up a servo for the throttle just in case. I'm going to start out with the receiver. Here's the new receiver. Mine has a bind plug because this receiver came with this RC. So I'm thinking at one point with all that corrosion, maybe there's corrosion in the receiver. So we're going to pop it out, we're going to pop it apart, and we're going to take a look inside that receiver. Meanwhile, I'm going to pop off this body. This body's not too easy to get off, and that's why pulling all the clips and doing all this, I don't do on location. It's just too much work. So the other side has got the Canon filter that sticks out of it. Right here. So it doesn't allow the body to pull the sides and lift straight up. Kind of like the new one does. The new one has 3 on this side, 3 on this side, 2 in the front, nothing in the rear because it's on a hinge. So it's a lot easier to pull up the new one. This one you got to kind of bend it around the filter and you can pop it off. Popping it off is definitely a lot easier than popping it on. We still have fuel in this thing because I haven't used much. So I did pop the cover off to unplug the battery yesterday. So I have the cover off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check voltage to this battery, see how that is, and make sure our voltage isn't low. I don't imagine it is low. We didn't run it long enough, and it was charged before it went out. And we do have this 2-sided tape down. This goes directly to our brand new battery because these are new and it was charged before it went out, so we will test this. This is our steering. Here's my battery jumper. So this goes into the bind port just to power up the receiver straight to the battery. And the antenna has not been cut. There is no range issues. I know a lot of people are asking some of these things, and that's why I'm trying to be as detailed as I can so everybody knows what's going on. Just like I want to know. I am pretty thorough when I check stuff, and that's why this has got me baffled. We will inspect the antenna wire together. Guarantee you there is no issue with this antenna wire. It's still the way it was factory. Nothing's ever been caught in it. So this thing does have screws on the back, so we can open it up. So we're going to get this thing opened up and take a look inside and see if there's any corrosion inside this thing. All right, so we got a 5/64 Allen to see if we can open this receiver up. I'm going to take a look inside and see what is going on with this receiver. Now this is the old SR310 receiver, 2.4 gigahertz that came factory with this RC. All right, put those bolts in there so I don't lose them on this black table. Don't see anything funky in there. I don't see any corrosion on any of these tabs or terminals. Is it glued down to this board? So there is no corrosion anywhere on this thing. No corrosion on anything. Antenna is perfectly soldered, no corrosion. So it's possible something is just failing inside this thing, but the antenna wire is perfect. There's no signal issue, because if it was signal, the brakes would apply. So it's possible it's just a failing unit. It is possible. All right. So receiver surface, no AVC. I don't put AVC in any of my gas powered stuff, just like the other radio. As far as Horizon's concerned, you can put AVC on a gas powered vehicle. I've just heard stories of people having issues. So I want to compare the antenna lengths. And the antenna lengths are exactly the same. Alright, so this is clearly marked. This one has a battery port, not a bind port, because it's the new smart one with the button. So just like I used the bind port before, we're going to use the battery straight for the battery, which will be my adapter right here. And which way is ground on this thing? It looks like it's minus, plus, and then a signal. It is written on there, it's just really small. So there's our battery. We are going to plug this into the battery and bind it before I hook anything else up. Turn on our radio. That's already in the bind. Bind. Solid light. It is now bound, which is perfect. Battery voltage is 5.8 because I put new batteries in this before I went out. We're going to hook this up to aux 1, ground facing the outside. Then we have throttle next. Throttle, and then steering. There we go. There we go. No more binding there, nice and loose. And then somebody was saying, turning, throttle, brake. As you see, red light is not cutting off. So as you see, my kill does kill it. F is on and off. So to start it, it has to be on. That'll kill it. If it's on and it loses battery voltage at any point, it kills the light. So it doesn't matter where you lose battery voltage, it will kill the light and will not start. Now the next thing to test is to take it outside with it running I'm probably going to pull the wheels to make it easier, just so it doesn't get away from me. Put it up on a table outside, and then we're going to kill it with our switch. Then we're going to kill it by unplugging the battery, and then I'm going to put in a dead LiPo and see if we can kill it by moving the throttle and steering. I think I have one in storage mode, which I might need to drain it a little farther than that. But we're also going to put on a voltage meter onto the balance plug and see if we're losing too much voltage by operating the throttle and the steering, and see if we can get this thing to act up without the tires on it. So if that's something you're interested in, I'm going to get the antenna put in here. I'm going to stick the new receiver down, and we're going to really see what's going on with this RC. Stay tuned for that. All right, since I'm going to put more antenna out, this antenna tube is too short, so we're going to cut ourselves another antenna tube. There we go. So we'll be right back. All right, so this is the battery we ran yesterday. Cell 1 399, cell 2 40. It's still not on the verge to where it should have cut off, but we're gonna hook this thing up. This thing are from Game Changer RC. If the voltage gets too low, it will sound. So we're gonna leave this thing plugged in, and we're gonna run this thing and see if we can set off the alarm on this and if it'll cut. So there we go. Stay tuned for that. All right, we've got our warning on. I've got the controller on. We're gonna get this thing cold started and see what happens. See if we can get it to act up here on the bench. So it is set to idle. Turn our choke on. It's usually 2 pulls for the choke, and then 2 pulls, and then it starts. Kick up the throttle a little bit. Somebody was asking me why I do this when I start it. Don't use your throttle for idle. I don't. I just use it to cold start it so that it has a higher idle and I don't have to control it. that was me hitting the safety switch. As you see, the red light is off. Let's kick it back on, start it back up. Next thing I want to check is if it loses power. If it loses power, it shuts off. So any kind of voltage spike, the red light will go off. And then, so if the battery gets too low, doesn't have enough, should kill it. Kill switch. So I am noticing when hitting the trigger and turning at the same time, each cell, and remember this pack has already been run yesterday, I'm getting down to 3.5 on some of those voltage things, but that still should be plenty for this. And I do have a sway bar link off. I'll have to pop back on. These pop off a lot on bad crashes, but so instead of 420 a cell, I'm down to 396, still over 6 volts, 394. So it looks like I still have plenty of voltage, even though this pack is pretty low now. So it will be hitting low voltage cut soon. So what I'm going to do is throw this onto my charger. I'm going to drain some voltage out of it and see if our kill switch will come on. But so far, I mean, it looks like everything's working. The double-sided tape is definitely not holding this thing to the foam pad. So, because it's stuck to a foam pad, I like that cushion on the battery side in here, which is factory. So it seems like everything is working. Going full trigger. Here it has not run away. So, but it's not under a big load either. Now, the load on the throttle servo won't change. That'll always still be the same. But the load on the steering with operating the throttle should put this thing into low voltage cut. So I might throw the front wheels on it and then check that part of it. But the next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and throw in a lower pack and see if see if I can get this thing to kill itself when the battery voltage is too low. Be right back. All right, here's the other pack in storage mode. So all is 759, 378, 380. So it's on storage. I'm gonna go ahead and plug this in and see if I can trip the low voltage cut. Red light is off. Let me activate it. Red light is on. Should fire right up. So, I mean, everything seems to be working. The only thing I changed out from yesterday was the receiver. So now, next test, go ahead and get battery packs charged up. Get everything closed back up. And get out, get the tires on, get the body on. Let's go rip it again. I do need to clean the air filter. But there we go. Do you guys think it was the receiver? Let me know down in the comments. Hopefully it is, and I don't have to change out the servo. But we'll see. Like, comment, subscribe. Catch you guys on my next video. Thanks for watching.